Hi there! I'm really grateful to you for looking at my YouTube channel. And the reason I started it is because I am fed up of those ads where these women are dancing around, drinking their wine, having a great time because they're wearing their incontinence pants and they feel protected. Now, we're really lucky to have a society where incontinence pants are available, but wouldn't it be better if they didn't need them? It's like sticking a plaster on a wound. There is so much we can do to help that pelvic floor area become strong and to actually reverse those incontinence problems. And it should say on those ads in big letters, you can fix this problem. But it doesn't. I mean, do you really think those women are happy that they're having to wear pads? Wouldn't they be happier if they didn't have to? That's what gets me. So, I have been an adult fitness instructor all my adult life. I've had 3 children and about 18 or 19 years ago, I became a Pilates instructor as well. So after having children, I had some leakage and it was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I've had all this training and learned lots of knowledge about post and antenatal exercise and fitness for the elderly, and I still don't know how to sort this problem out. So about 5 years ago, I did a course with Adore Your Pelvic Floor, and I learned what to do and how it all connects. And I realized if I, as a fitness coach, did not know how to sort out problems on my own, how would anyone else? And I've realized that very few people have that knowledge. You know, GPs are amazing at referring you, but they won't know exactly what you can do to help yourself. And I remember having babies and being told, right, do your exercises, do your squeezes. But it's not all about squeezes, because what happens is, I've got a little model of a pelvis here. So we have our pelvic bowl, and within this bowl we have our bowel, our bladder and uterus, and they're all sitting in here nicely. And then on women, we have this really wide area of bone here. And the reason we have a wide area is because we have to push babies out if we're going to have children. So this area of muscle here doesn't have much support. So over time, with exercise, with just general life, then we maybe go through menopause, all these things happen where these muscles get weak. And they need to be nice and strong. They need to be strong enough to keep things in, but they also need to be flexible enough to let things in and let things out when we want them to. So these muscles, as I say, can get weak over time, but they can also get tight because our pelvic floor muscles are connected to our deep abdominal muscles, which are connected to our diaphragm. So every time we breathe, our pelvic floor is moving. And when we get stressed, or we're in pain, or we have bad posture, we don't breathe properly. So then our pelvic floor, instead of getting this nice workout every time we breathe, is just doing that. So can actually get really tight, our pelvic floor, or we might have an injury. We have children, we might have stitches, we might have surgery, and things can get tight. And muscles, these are muscles, and they need to be worked. We can't just hold them in one place, we need to move them. So if with my bicep, I just sat here like this, holding my arms up saying, hey, I'm really strong, my biceps are really strong, they're just going to get weak. I need to move them to work them. And it's the same with our pelvic floor, because if we just hold it, it's not moving, so it needs to be able to be lengthened, it needs to be able to contract, and it needs to be able to relax. So pelvic floor exercises aren't just about this area, they're about your whole body, because we have 46 muscles attached to the pelvis. So everything we do, every move we make pretty well has an effect on that pelvic floor and on the pelvis. So we need to look at the deep abdominal muscles. We need to look at the breath. So if we've got a tight chest and our ribs are tight and we've got no flexibility but in our ribs, we're not going to be able to breathe properly. So we need to get flexible in our back. We need to get, our chest needs to be able to open. We need to get nice and strong. But if we're tense, there's a lot of athletes that have pelvic floor problems because they're like this, they pull in, they're tight, they're really, really tight. So the muscles aren't moving. So all sorts of things can happen. Hormones. So when we go through menopause, our estrogen dries up. We don't produce any, and our estrogen keeps our muscles nice and flexible and nice and hydrated. So our muscles can get weak there. We can, collagen starts to dry up as we get older. So that's a hormone that keeps things flexible. If you think of a trampoline, it needs to bounce, doesn't it? You've got it all, it's nice and bouncy up and down. If it gets old, it gets a bit brittle and it doesn't have that bounce. So that's what can happen when we start to lose collagen. So it's about eating healthily, so we're getting the right minerals and proteins. It's about looking at movement, flexibility, and it's also looking at strength. So, if we've got weak glutes and we're not moving well, and these muscles are weak, our pelvic floor isn't getting that nice flowing movement. If we've got bad feet and our feet are, say we've got bunions, or our feet are very stiff and they roll in, our pelvic floor, when we walk, we're sort of thumping and clunking and we're not getting that nice flowing movement. So when I talk about pelvic floor, I'm talking about this whole area and everything that connects to it. So I've set up this channel to give tips and exercises on how to keep our pelvic floor strong and flexible so that it moves, it contracts, and it can relax properly. And that will be through movement, through healthy eating, through breathing correctly, and putting it all together. Not just a one-stop, do this exercise and your pelvic floor will be better, because there is no one exercise that is going to make your pelvic floor better. Our pelvic floor didn't just suddenly get weak. We didn't just find that we were getting up 3 or 4 times in the night to have a wee. It could have started gradually and built up. Same with leaks. We maybe don't suddenly start flooding. We have a little drip every now and again when we laugh or when we cough, and that can get worse. So we need to look at changing habits that we've built up over time so that we can improve that pelvic floor over time. And some things you can do and you can see a really, really quick difference, and other things we need to keep it strong and we need to keep it flexible and look at what we can do to change our lifestyle, things that we do, just little tweaks to get improvements. So I hope you will continue looking at my channel for top tips and exercises and all sorts of things you can do to help yourself and take control.